Okay, my friends, I got a really good one for you today. Today, I'm going to show you how to make the old school fertilizer utilizing human urine. Yes, that's correct. This is actually a very beneficial nutrient for the garden and a versatile one. We can use it in one of two ways. Now, I'm going to explain a little bit about the ways that we can use it, and then at the end of the video, I will take you out and I will show you actually my process of utilizing it. All right? So, why would we use urine? Because urine is, as the name implies, filled with urea, which is a form of nitrogen. Also ammonia nitrogen. It has both of those. And plants need nitrogen. And urine is already in the form of urea and ammonia, which is a very usable source by the plants. Okay, so besides that, it also has all the trace elements, sulfur, magnesium, calcium, all of this stuff. It's all there. It's all the good stuff. Now, here, I'll show you I just pulled this picture off the internet and you see all the things that human urine contains. Now, that's the scientific analysis, but we don't even need that because ancient wisdom tells us that this is some of the finest fertilizer you can get, okay? It's full circle. Everything returns to the earth. Everything comes from the earth and returns. And it nourishes the earth. Remember, the amount of life that is present in any given place is in exact proportion to the amount of death and decay that has happened there. So, let us utilize this gift of nature in one of two ways. Now, the one way is as a compost activator. Another way is as an actual fertilizer for the garden. So first I'll talk about the compost activator. Now, when would I need to use this for the compost and why? Well, because nitrogen is critical to the decomposition of organic matter because it's what fuels the bacteria that decompose things. All right, that's why if you put green grass clippings in a pile, they will decompose into compost, basically soil, within 3 weeks to a month because of all the nitrogen that was in there. As opposed to if you first let the grass clippings all dry out and let the ammonia or the nitrogen evaporate into the air, and you take the same brown grass clippings and put them in a pile, they will just stay there for weeks and weeks and months, and they won't decompose. The difference is all in the nitrogen and the subsequent microbial activity that's happening. So, to do a good compost pile, we want it to have thermal mass, at least 3 feet by 3 feet cubed, okay? So it should be getting hot on the inside. There should be a lot of biological activity. And things should be breaking down fast. You can make good compost in just a couple of months. Now, if the compost pile has gone cold, as the term implies, that means that there's not a lot of biological activity happening in the form of bacteria. There could still be in fungi, but the bacteria is the fast digestion that we want. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take this urea form of nitrogen and we're going to dump it straight onto the compost pile. And that is going to supercharge the microorganisms into deteriorating and decomposing the organic matter, okay? It really works well. And to activate the compost pile, you can simply use human urine neat, okay? You don't have to do anything special, just put it straight. You can even urinate directly onto the compost pile and that will have explosive results because it's all there. The nitrogen, the trace minerals, all the good stuff. All right, so that's a good way for people that are a little bit squeamish about, oh, it's urine, oh, the smell and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, then that's fine. Just dump it on the compost pile then, all right? Problem solved. And we're not wasting this gift of nature. Now, the second way to utilize it, which I think has equally tremendous, even better results in my opinion, and this is the way I usually utilize it, is to ferment it into a fertilizer for the plants and the soil themselves. Really the soil. Remember, we feed the soil, not so much the plants, okay? Healthy soil, a thriving soil food web, whatever plant you put into it is going to thrive, okay? So we're really focusing on the health of the soil. So to do that, we're not going to use it neat in the garden this way, okay? I mean, we don't just dump fresh urine on plants, okay? It's too high in salts and in the forms of nitrogen. It will burn them and it doesn't smell well and there's just no need for it. Some plants can respond really well to it, like comfrey or God knows thistles They thrive if you just urinate straight on them because they love that stuff. But your garden vegetables, you don't want to be dumping urine straight on them, okay? What you want to do is this. You want to ferment it first using, of course, the leaf mold. The microbes that are in the leaf mold are going to break down the compounds into urine, and it's going to make it plant available, and it's going to dissolve any residual antibiotics that are in your urine if you're on that, or if you eat a lot of toxic food, chemical-laden food, a lot of industrial beef and all that kind of stuff. Those antibiotics come through the flesh of the animal and into you, and they're messing up your microbial balance and all of that. It then goes out through your urine and into the soil. Fermenting it with the leaf mold will decompose all of that because these are the real heavy lifters. So let me show you the technique and then we'll come back in. Okay, so here we are at our fertilizer production facility with all different kinds of the best fertilizers happening at the same time here. We need to gather our supplies. For one, we start with a 5-gallon bucket or whatever size vessel, depending on your operation size. And make sure this bucket or vessel has a very tight-fitting lid because you do not want this stuff to evaporate. For one, you'll lose the good stuff, but also the smell. Then we want to take our bucket of leaf mold that we have already gathered from the soil. And remember, this is really key to all the ferments we're using. This is leaf mold. This is filled with billions and billions of microorganisms that are going to do all of the heavy lifting for our plant fertilization. So we will take a large handful of this beautiful black gold leaf mold, put it into the bucket. Next step is to collect the urine. That's right, my friends, there's a jug of urine. Now, you're going to want to make sure this has airtight seal on it and it does not leak. And you want to empty this every day into your fermentation chamber because it will convert to ammonia and begin to smell dramatically. So the way to do this is empty it every day into the fermentation chamber until the bucket becomes full. Then add another handful of leaf mold soil, put the lid on really tight, and let that ferment for at least a month, but preferably 3 or 6 months or beyond. And then you just start another bucket. Okay, there you go. Now, the longer you let it ferment, the better. At least 3 months. But preferably 6, 9, 12 months and beyond, because it just keeps getting better the more it ages, okay? So, but let me warn you, this, unlike the fish fertilizer, after about a year, 9 months to a year, the smell goes away and it just smells like rich tomato juice. It really does. The human urine fertilizer never achieves a pleasant smell in any fashion. So be prepared for that, okay? But once you dilute it and use it in the garden, then it all goes away because it evaporates and the microbes eat it and all of that kind of stuff. So don't worry about that. But here's the thing. After a year ferment, it's going to look like this. This is actually going on 2 years. This is from July of 20, and you see how dark and rich it is. And there's actually material that's settled to the bottom, which is whatever kind of material, who knows, but filled with minerals and all kinds of good stuff, okay? Now remember, it smells very potent if you take the lid off. But we want to use this, okay, when would we use something like this, all right? This well-aged urea. And we would use it when the plants look lackluster, okay? Nitrogen is the compound that makes the plants have that luscious green to them or that shininess. If you see that new fresh growth and it's all shiny, the leaves are real shiny, and you can just tell, especially if you have a seasoned eye, you can just tell a healthy, vibrant looking plant that's thriving. And if it's just kind of not thriving and it's just looks a little bit yellow, a little bit off color, it's losing its luster and its growth is not as fast as it could or should be, add the urea, my friends, and that will do the trick, okay? It's got everything that the plants need. This is the fertilizer of our ancestors. They used this like it was gold because they knew the cycles of life, everything returns to the soil and replenishes itself. So we will use this. If you notice your plants being lackluster or a little bit yellow, begin with 1 teaspoon a gallon. That's all you have to use. all right, and then water it and observe. And you can put it on the foliage as well at that concentration, okay? So you can overhead water. If that doesn't do the trick, if it doesn't boost it up, then 1 tablespoon a gallon, okay? But at that concentration, just do the roots, okay? I mean, you could still do the foliage, it would be fine. And then observe, and a few days or a week later, if that doesn't do the trick, 1 ounce a gallon. But I wouldn't recommend going any higher than that, okay? And 1 ounce a gallon, water in the roots, and that will have to do something to the plant. I know it will, from my experience. I've been using this stuff for years, okay? So that's pretty much it, my friends. It's free, it's very easy to use, and it's extremely effective, okay? So let us not be concerned with fertilizer shortages or food shortages and stuff like that. We can do for ourselves using these ancient techniques, okay? So if you gain something from the video, give it a thumbs up, and also share this with anyone that you think can benefit from this knowledge, because that's what it's all about.